It started with a tremble, not the kind that makes the floor rumble or the windows shake, but the kind that pulls your heart into your throat. An old man, maybe 80, maybe older, stood at the counter of a quiet diner on a rainy Thursday morning. His hand, shaky and unsteady, hovered over his wallet as he tried to pull out a few crumpled bills. Then came the sound that snapped the silence like dry wood underfoot. Laughter. A sharp, snickering laugh from a booth near the window. A teenager, hoodie halfway over his face, earbuds dangling, chuckling into his phone while nudging his friend. They were laughing at him, the old man. And what they didn't know, what they couldn't have known, was that they were laughing at a man who had once stormed the beaches of Normandy, with bullets flying past his ears and death just a step behind. The man's name was Walter. Walter Briggs. He came to the diner every Thursday at 8:15 a.m. sharp. Booth 6, 2 seats from the back, right next to the window where he could watch the parking lot and sip his coffee as the world hurried past. He was quiet, always polite. He wore a clean, pressed shirt tucked into worn khakis. A soft brown cap rested on his head, embroidered with the faded gold words, Who Ki Veteran. Most people barely noticed him, except Mary. Mary was the waitress. She was 62, had worked that diner since she was 18, and called every customer Hon without a drop of insincerity. She knew Walter's story, and she knew what those shaky hands meant. Parkinson's. It had taken his steadiness, his handwriting, and now, his dignity. But what it hadn't taken was his pride. That Thursday morning, as the rain drizzled outside and the smell of fried eggs filled the room, Walter had reached into his wallet and struggled. His fingers trembled so hard the bills slipped from his grip. And that's when the laugh came. The teen, sitting with a friend, whispering and grinning. Walter didn't say anything, just kept trying. Mary watched it happen. Her hands clenched, around the coffee pot she held. But before she could move, another man stood up. From the corner booth, tall, broad, wearing a leather jacket and jeans, close-cropped silver hair. His eyes were hard but calm, like he'd stared down storms most men couldn't dream of. He didn't say a word as he walked toward Walter. The diner fell still. You could hear the sizzle of bacon, the tick of the clock, and the hum of the ceiling fan. Everything else froze. And then the man saluted. Not casually, not mockingly, a full, formal, chest-straight, heels-together military salute. Walter looked up, confused. A flash of recognition lit in his eyes, and in that split second, the room held its breath. The man's name was Colonel James Harlan, retired United States Marine Corps. Served in Iraq. Silver Star, Bronze Star, Purple Heart. He had seen men die. He had led battalions, and he knew, just by looking, that Walter wasn't just another old man with trembling hands. He was history walking, and he deserved respect. James turned slowly and locked eyes with the teenager. He didn't yell, he didn't threaten, but his voice, it was deep and even, like gravel under pressure. You laugh at a man who fought so you could sit here and eat pancakes in peace. You think those hands are weak? They held rifles in freezing mud. They carried wounded brothers through fire. They built a life after a war no one came back from whole. The teen's smirk vanished, so did the color in his face. Walter didn't say much in the moment, but later, when Mary poured him a second coffee, he spoke softly. Saw boys die crying for their mothers, he said. I still hear them sometimes, especially when it's quiet. Mary sat with him for a while. He told her about the time he crawled through a ditch under mortar fire to pull a young soldier to safety. The boy didn't make it. He told her about the telegrams he delivered when he got home. To mothers, to wives, to families whose sons would never return. Mary's eyes welled with tears. Walter just smiled. "Guess some things stick with you," he said. The next Thursday, Walter came in again. Same time, same booth. But something was different. There was a small envelope waiting on the table. No name, just "Sir," written on the front in shaky, adolescent handwriting. Walter opened it. Inside was a letter. "Dear Sir, I didn't know who you were. I didn't think, I just laughed like a stupid kid. Saw that man salute you, and I felt ashamed. I went home and asked my grandpa about the war. He showed me a photo of his best friend from Korea. Said he never made it home. I think I understand now. I'm sorry. You deserve better. Thank you for your service. Ryan." Inside the envelope was also a $20 bill and a receipt for a prepaid meal. Walter didn't say a word, but Mary noticed his eyes stayed on that letter for a long time, longer than he usually looked at anything. From that day on, Walter had a regular visitor, Ryan. He started coming in every Thursday. Sometimes he'd just sit. Sometimes he'd talk. But mostly he listened. Walter told him stories that weren't in any textbook, and Ryan listened like it mattered, because it did. The shaky hands didn't scare him anymore. He saw what they held: courage, loss, life. And slowly, in a little corner diner in a small American town, 2 generations, separated by war, technology, and time, found something neither of them expected: understanding. Sometimes we're so quick to judge what we don't understand. A tremble in a hand, a stumble in a step, a quiet man in a booth, but behind those small things, there can be stories that shake the ground we walk on. So the next time you see someone struggle, pause. Look again. You might just be standing in the presence of someone who helped shape the world you live in, and they deserve more than silence. They deserve a salute. If this story moved you, consider subscribing and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever witnessed a moment of unexpected kindness, courage, or justice? We want to hear your story. This is Relieved Stories, where the quietest moments reveal the loudest truths. Until next time, stay kind and keep listening.